There will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough.
You know, I'm back here again. We're gonna go back to slavery again. We're gonna hear what our ancestors they spoke about. Majority of young people, I'm gonna say this, black people in general. Slavery, it was not that long ago. The 1600, 1700, 1800, 1900, slave, it hasn't been that long ago. Because I'll tell you this, much of our family been taken away in slavery, in captivity of slavery. They went all around. Yes, I'm talking about my family as well. My grandfather, he was born in 1921. So slavery, it hasn't been that long. So when people, they're talking about, oh, you know what, why you always speak about slavery? Why you speak about racism, colonization, discrimination? I had to. We had to. It's a reminder. We have to speak about this. Our children, they need to know about the skin color, about the battle that they're going to have. You think you're going to have a battle in a different country?
It's our responsibility.
The same country that you're born in, that's where the battle it began for you. What do you think in Black America they went through? America is their country. America is their country. But do you know the most dangerous place for Black America to be is in America?
And we have now been utilized.
The farmers are not black.
The most people that they pull Black American down is the people that lives among them. Yeah, not because oh, they're stupid, they're dumb, they're unintelligent. No, because of their skin color. That's why it's so important for us to generate and teach our children what is ahead for them. When children, they don't know where they came from, that's why you can see they're outside running around like a bunch of wild animals. We want proper education. When you give a young man and female good education, they understand to respect the elders, the parents, first of all, the family member. And when it comes to outsider, they give the respect back as well. We don't have that anymore because shame is no more shame. Common sense is no more common sense. And that's what we're fighting for. Intelligent people, they become dumb. They start agreeing and normalize what is not normal anymore. Slavery, it hasn't been that long, but look at how fast things have changed so quickly. And look at what United States of America they have in the White House. A white supremacist. Yes, they do. They do. A guy that won't deny to hold black people as slaves. He has no problem with that. So we're going to react on this. Our ancestors, they've been taking on slavery, you know, in plantation, working. We're going to hear the voice of all slavery they're going to take. Let's go.
We heard the voice of a formerly enslaved person. Few know that in the decades following emancipation, interviews were done in an effort to preserve their stories. And in tonight's Prime Focus, you'll hear some of what they said as part of our partnership with the 10 Million Names Project. ABC's Alex Frichet brings us their stories in their words.
I want you to tell me how you got your name.
I got my name from President Jeff Davis. President of Southern Confederation. You own my grandfather and my father. My grandfather was a blacksmith. And my father had learned how to write a little bit in Richmond Union before he brought me down here.
Wow. You're listening to the voice of a formerly enslaved American, a man by the name of George Johnson. This rare and historic audio interview was recorded in 1941, almost 80 years after Mr. Johnson gained his freedom. He and his family.
Did he? Oh, man. That's from who? Jefferson Davis, a Confederation president. That's where his grandfather got his name from, and he got his name from his grandfather. I'll say again, slavery, it hasn't been that long. We got 1600, 1700, 1800, 1900, not long ago. And you seeing around, you're thinking things are jokes. You know there's Caucasian white people that they still want you in bondage, you know, in slavery. They still wonder. That's why we cannot ignore this. But Black people, we like to ignore the things that matter the most. That's why we always sell each other.
Worked on a plantation in Virginia owned by Confederate leader Jefferson Davis, a staunch opponent of abolition. In the interview, Johnson recalls a day in the life as an enslaved person.
Did they drive the slaves down there on Davis and then very hard, or did they work them reasonable? You know, Martin Stewart did much as a little boy. And that was chopping cotton. Where they killed the gang, you understand? He come to where killed, you understand? That's how Martin Stewart was. Yeah, that's what it's told, son. Say, Mr. Long, he probably killed the gang.
Audio tape interviews like this are striking and uncommon, but are actually part of a long legacy of Black families, communities, and institutions, including historically Black colleges and universities, that lead the way in collecting and preserving the oral histories of the formerly enslaved people in the 19th and 20th centuries. In the 1930s and beyond, technology allowed some of these interviews to be recorded as part of both federal and independent projects. The details are often difficult to hear, but they remind us this history happened not too long ago with names, faces, and stories.
Do you know roughly how many of these recordings exist?
The recordings are relatively rare, but the recordings come from a much larger and really important and in many ways unsung collecting effort that took place. In terms of audio technology, most of it was not recorded by audio because the technology didn't exist, or at least in any kind of widespread accessible way when most of those were conducted. So it's really just a handful of audio recordings.
In 1974, a woman named Celia Black, at the age of 114 years old and shortly before her death, recalled picking cotton in Texas as a child born into slavery.
I didn't have to pick cotton or nothing.
I've been to another like Tennessee, West Tennessee, Lord goodness. Me and my husband would go out west and pick cotton. Go out west every year. We went this year going out there picking cotton.
One of the things that kind of struck me, you have an interview recorded in 1974. For some Black Americans, I mean, they're one generation removed from slavery.
In some ways, we think of slavery as ancient history. We think of it as something that happened a very long time ago to people we couldn't possibly have known. I was 6, 7 years old in 1974. So it was kind of amazing that we were alive at the same time. I was alive at the same time who was someone who had been born enslaved.
Alex Haley's Roots premiered on ABC just 3 years after this interview with Celia Black.
What's your name?
Kunta Kinte.
Alex Haley came into his work, Roots, or became Roots really, through his grandmother's stories. So we're really talking about oftentimes great-grandparents at this point in the 70s.
First-hand accounts shedding light on the darkest chapters in our American history, yet also revealing incredible African-American strength and survival.
Didn't you have some entertainment, do any dancing or anything?
Oh, I used to dance, but I don't do it now. No, I don't dance now. I try my best to serve my master. I'm trying my best to serve my heavenly Father.
You hear these recordings. Wow. What were the emotions when you hear the recollections of a Celia Black?
First is just the miracle of her survival. It's just that I'm actually hearing this person who had been enslaved. That's kind of a miracle.
Celia Black was alive when Abraham Lincoln was president and lived to see the resignation of President Richard Nixon.
Oh, man. You remember Abraham Lincoln? Oh, well, they gave him a good name. Oh, Abraham Lincoln. They thought Abraham was this. They thought, everybody thought Abraham was the best president in the world.
In a similar effort to preserve this history and legacy,
that grandma right there, she been through hell. Yes, I'm gonna say this. She been through Hell, slaving, it was no jokes. Working in a plantation, when the master said this, you said, yes, sir. Do what as the master said. There was no jokes. When we have our generation, especially this generation, nobody want to hear about slaving, what happened to our ancestor. We don't want to hear about it. Do you know who we want to hear about? You know, Beyonce, where she playing? You know, we want to hear about Jay-Z or Kanye West. We want our role model to be the people that are entertaining. That's what we want. That's the sad part. What are we teaching our children? No, black people, they don't want to hear about slaving majority. It's sad. Look, slaving, it was not long ago.
What's the matter? Why you so honored? You miss me? Huh? Oh, yes, sir. I miss you.
You have this generation, they don't want to hear about history. The things that matter the most. We don't have no more scholar, you know, academic people, you know, intellectual people to speak. In the meantime, the only person that I'm seeing a lot of time that he speak about the things that matter the most is Dr. Umar Johnson.
I beg your pardon?
That I can say is unapologized. He's speaking the truth. I don't care what other black people, oh, he's a scammer, man. He scam people. He still haven't opened a school. I don't care. But he's bringing so much intelligent things that matter to us. So for black teenagers, they need to understand where they came from and where they're going. Dr. Umar Johnson is teaching that because he understands the mind, the brain, because he's a psychology teacher. He studied that. So when he's speaking about certain things, we need to pay attention. I'm not going to pay attention to comedy. This is why Malcolm X dislike a lot of us black people because of this. We want entertaining people, comedy. Do you know that in slaving time, that's what the master, they wanted black people to do, entertaining them.
Oh, yes, sir. I miss you like a whole Miss Fly, like a baby. Miss Mammy Titty.
That's it. And in this time, we want a comedy. You have other black people, they wanted Kamala Harris to be a president in America. When I stuck with this. When they asked her this question, what are you gonna do for black people? She said, I'm not just gonna be president for black people, but for all America. And that's a wrong answer. Wrong! Look at Donald Trump.
Allow them to take land.
No.
Do allow them to take land. No.
Donald Trump is making white people happy. Not black, no Latino, no other or immigration. No, he don't care about that. And you have these people that they color people, so they're so bland on, I'm not just for black people. Shut your mouth. Of course you're not for black people.
To identify the names of the 10 million men, women, and children who were enslaved in the territory that became the United States. The goal is to put names and faces on this vital history. Not only to give the enslaved the dignity they deserve, but to connect those living today with their family story. With the help of the 10 million named genealogists, we were able to find the direct descendants of Celia Black. In Rhode Island, we met 68-year-old Curtis Royal, who spent time with her as a young man.
She's my great-grandmother from my mother's side of the family.
Do you remember any of the stories that she would tell?
She told us about how difficult it was, you know, just being alive during that period. And of course, she would tell us a story about the big ox that they had two of them, and how her father would sit her right on the head of the ox, and she would just hold on with the horns. So those are, you know, as a boy, you know, those are fascinating. You know, you say, wow.
My grandfather had some big old ox. He had one with a big white horn. Looked like a house. White horns, and I used to sit up there and clean them horns. And then his name was Coley. His name was Coley, and the other one was named Left.
Was it ever difficult to talk about slavery
Yes, and I think what made it so difficult is just realizing, how emotional it was and what they went through. You try to put yourself into their physical being and to understand what they went through, and it is scary.
You've heard the recording of your great-grandmother in 1974.
It was very challenging for me to hear when they asked her the question about what it was like working in the fields, the heat in Texas, the humidity, and, sometimes 105, 110 degrees. And I just can't fathom waking up, sun up to sundown, working in the fields. How did they do it? How did they do it?
You learn about slavery in America. I think especially being a Black American, the initial emotion is anger.
There's the history of slavery as an institution, which was all about oppressing people. And that's a very dark history that I think should make us angry.
Yeah.
But then there's an African-American history of survival through and beyond that institution. And that's kind of amazing. To hear people, accepting that I lived this life, it was incredibly hard, and I'm still here, and that I've survived, and I've got children, and I've passed on some kind of legacy.
How does who's conducting these interviews and how they're conducting these interviews, how does that matter?
Oh, I mean, it's enormously important. For the WPA interviews in general, the vast majority are white interviewers. Some are the children of the former slave owners, in fact, that are interviewing a former slave, right, of that same family.
But everywhere, slavery was a system for allocating status. And slaves and ex-slaves were supposed to be low-status people. And so when they were talking to people who they perceived to be of higher status, they had to be very careful about what they said, right? Because those people could determine their fate.
While many of the audio recordings don't reflect it, slaves were frequently subjected to heinous forms of abuse, including beatings, sexual assault, and forms of torture the public can access, add information to, and use as a research tool. And because so little information about enslaved people was officially documented, amassing this data is a huge task.
We encourage anyone that wants to get involved to reach out, to go to the website, and to be part of that project.
Who stands the most to gain from hearing these? I mean, is it Black folk? Is it younger Black folk? Is it white America? Is it Americans as a whole?
If we're going to understand anything about freedom, we're going to have to understand the people who were denied that freedom.
While very few of us will have the opportunity of hearing our ancestors' voices on tape, the 10 Million Names Project hopes that one day all Black Americans will have the chance to know their ancestors' names and stories the way that Curtis knows Celia.
You had the chance to know your great-grandmother.
Yes.
How powerful is it being able to connect that dot?
It's extremely powerful. You got to hear it from her directly. Not something that was passed on, but to hear it directly from her pain.
It makes me angry when I'm hearing that, especially hearing about, America ancestor history, and the slavery, what they went through. It makes me angry. And because there are human beings that was denied the right to live a normal way of life because of just being Black. Do you know how hard that is? That's why you can hear Fountain Huge. He said, if you told me to go back in slavery, I'll just end it right now. I'll just grab a gun and just end it right now. Because that tells you it was bad. There you're working in a plantation. It's too much. Black people, let's stop being ignorant. Let's stop that. History is there for reason. I'll say again, history is there for reason. Our children, they need to learn it. Slaving, it was not that long ago, and look at what is happening right now. You have a white supremacy in the White House right now. The guy that wanna see majority of people to be below him. and is giving power to majority of people that hate other people that they don't look like them. And it's a dangerous world that we're living to, especially when you give it to the people that are hatred toward other. It create chaos. Let's be careful. I'll catch you guys to the next one. Peace.
Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together.